Hey, welcome back, everyone. So this is suggested homework for week 4 for Circle of Being Somatic Shadow Work 10-week module. However, even if you are not part of this group module, this is useful, important guidance towards awakening and healing and embodiment. So wherever you are at, you may find benefit from it. At this point in our work, if we are really honest in this self-exploration and self-investigation of our suffering, then we need to identify some core areas of suffering. And one of the main core areas of suffering are connected to this so-called subconscious imprints or core limiting programs. All these terms refer to the same thing. Core negative limiting beliefs about oneself, or core deficiency story. I like this term from Scott Kilby, core deficiency story identity or core deficiency programs. But yeah, these are something that have been developed in very early interaction with the world and with the family of origin. They were formed in connection with the child consciousness, interpreting signals from the adults or interpreting events that happened, especially harsh, painful, traumatic events, whether they were like one-time event, like somebody leaving or some act of violence, or which would be like event trauma, or whether it was through a long period of stressful, unpleasant interaction or painful interaction with the caretaker, like a death by 1,000 cuts. This would be called developmental trauma. So in relation to this reality of child consciousness interacting with the world and with parents and caretakers. So in relation to those relationships, and due to the fact that most of us, these caretakers or the world around us, is very likely not world of conscious, awakened beings with an full open heart and ability to and woken up from the dream of separation. So very likely for all of us, we were raised and imprinted in this environment where people are in suffering, they are unconscious, they are in high stress, they have repression, they have trauma, toxicity, and the aftermath of their pain body. So their ability to love and to attune to us is limited. At some point, their suffering comes up online for them, and then it interacts with the child consciousness, which is very open and receptive, and takes things very personally. So in connection to this type of events, we, as a child consciousness, develop certain some kind of a hit. And there was a message, something along the lines like, I'm not safe to be myself. I am not lovable. There's something wrong with me. I'm bad. It's my fault. I'm rotten. I'm broken. I deserve punishment. So this kind of thoughts like that, which are not just thoughts, they are a belief. So it's a set of thoughts about myself, which come as an interpreting certain events. Let's say daddy left, or somebody died, or there was violence in the family, or there's divorce or something. The child believes, oh, it's my fault, I'm unlovable. Or in connection to ongoing criticism, the child believes there's something wrong with me. I will, especially the more harsh or negative unlovingness comes from the face of the world and the adults, the stronger this deficiency identity is formed. And as I said before, these are not just thoughts, these are thoughts that are form a belief about oneself, and also they have a corresponding emotional, energetic, somatic component. So there's a lot of pain, there's feelings of hurt, of sadness, of fear, of grief, of anger, rage, hatred. So that these messages are, it's not just a thought, it's a sense of identity. And this identity, which is from the point of view of awakening, it's a false identity. However, it feels very real to us. This false identity has a thought component and then an emotional component, energetic component. It's a painful identity, which is like the core wounded identity. Yeah. So it is important from the point of view of our work to start to discover this in ourselves, to discover them and to observe them and even write them down in a notebook, like a researcher, like a scientist. Yeah. So these core negative messages are really a big part of our suffering and a big part of our sense of separation, the sense of being me as separate, bad me, unloving me. So if there's any desire we have, honest desire to find the source of inner peace and happiness and awaken from the dream of separation and heal, we need to make conscious these subconscious identities. Also, they tend to get buried. So it started early on, but then the child adapts to it, and then we adapt and develop patterns and behaviors to compensate for this. So then if I believe there's something wrong with me, then I'm going to develop some patterns of behavior, like try to excel, try to be very good, try to please people, try to hide, lie, try to isolate, don't trust. So out of these core identities, wounded, deficient identities, there forms a certain pattern of behavior that starts to develop, and then it forms our personality. Also, out of these core wounded identities, we start to develop certain relational patterns, like it's not safe to be myself, so therefore I have to please, I have to hide. It's not safe to give love. Don't trust love. Don't trust closeness. I can't be me. I have to be in a certain way. I deserve to humiliation. I deserve to. So all of these relations are very subconscious, and then basically the problematic and painful part is that we going to go out in the world seeking love outside of ourselves, and we are going to find partners that are resonating with the deficiency story that we have, and they are going to, although initially it may seem yummy and exciting, the connection is going to we are going to re-experience a certain dynamic from childhood. So then we re-experience again this sense of being unworthy, of being a sense that I don't matter, or a sense that I can't be myself and I have to change, I have to be in a certain way, or I'm unlovable. So then we think that, well, it's this partner, then we go to another partner, and then we will, if we are honest and earnest, looking at ourselves, we'll see that we are the common element. And then we are just finding these partners to play out this unconscious dynamic from childhood. So in order to any chance of having a harmonious love relationship with a person, partner, then it's really important to identify these core negative deficiency stories that are in the mind and in the body, and start to deprogram them. Yeah. All right, so in this video, the idea is that I would like that we first start to identify them. Now, there will be other videos later, and as we go into this module, what to do about them and how to handle them, how to bring awareness to them, how to unpack them, how to discover their origins, how to discover where they live in the body, and how to, instead of them being hidden, to start to see them in front of us and how they are triggered. Our triggers, basically, whenever we are triggered, they are very likely there's one part present, and then there's a button pushed which activate our core deficiency, pain body identity. And actually we are angry or hurt in connection to the message that is activating me. So when somebody looks at me in a certain way, or if I have a conflict with somebody, it's very likely there is activated some of my past, some old deficiency stories, some interpretation that, wow, this dynamic means that I don't matter, or that I am unlovable, or that there's something wrong with me, or that I'm scum. Yeah. And I am reacting or suffering in this trigger due to this story, which is mine prior to this person. So before we can do anything about this, we need to first identify them in our life. And, I've been working with hundreds, I think thousands of people, thousands of hours, and as well as myself, and been in many spiritual groups, psychological groups, self-help groups for 20 plus years. I have come to see that everybody has them. There's nobody who is free from them. So even your new agey culture, then you have these people that are like full of love and gratitude and positive. There underneath is something much more imprinted, tattooed in their consciousness, which plays out and is painful. And the way to go is we can't transcend them or escape them or forget about them. We need to see them and bring some full awareness to them, full loving awareness, without reacting to them, and bringing all the emotions connected to them. And also there is some utility of believing them, so if I believe that I'm unlovable or I'm not worthy, there is some subconscious utility so if I believe that, then I avoid trying to make relationships because I will avoid being rejected and hurt again. So part of the unpacking and deconstructing the deficiency identity is to find out subconscious utilities of these things. And all these are things that a child's mind developed. A child understood this, and actually they are not helpful. and actually part of the healing and awakening out of them is to see them with wise consciousness, see them for what they are. And there are certain tools to deprogram the somatic roots from the body. But at this point in week 4, I would like that we simply identify these stories for ourselves and write them down in a notebook. So in order to help with that, I'm going to put here below a certain guided somatic explorations from my group that I created, which are starting with a little bit of dropping into awareness, kind of meditative space. Because in order to see our subconscious, we need to be a little bit out of the mind and tune into this dimension of presence. And in that space, after a few minutes of this presence meditative space, I'm going to bring up your family of origin and mommy and daddy, and I'm going to guide certain questions that are going to bring you to mind these stories, these memories. And they might be a little unpleasant too, because it will evoke the hurt from the childhood. However, I'm going to also guide what to do with these emotions, and also how to remember that whatever happened, we survived, and that whatever memories or feelings or emotions, they cannot hurt you, the real you, which is this, which is aware right now. Yeah, so the awareness, the awakeness is different than images and feelings. So I'm going to guide you through this process. Maybe I'll put there 2 or 3 guided meditations that will, if you follow them, you will discover what are your imprints, deficiency identities. Everybody has 2 or 3 or 4, usually. And also there could be some relational patterns. Patterns is different than a core deficiency identity. Patterns is a type of behavior that we engage unconsciously that creates suffering, but it's driven from a certain core deficiency identity. So the purpose of these videos is to discover them and also get a little bit of training to witness them, you know, to see it as it's a story. It's like, I don't deserve love. I'm unworthy. Usually we identify with this and we are like, oh, kind of getting sucked into it, but it's really important to start to see them and unpack them. There's something here in the chest. There's a pressure, there's a sense of hurt, and then out of the chest, we mine out what it says. It says, I am bad. I am something wrong with me. These are words. We see them from awareness. So big part of this future deprogramming is to be the witness without flinching and see both the messages as well as the sensation, allow them. And in this repeated seeing, they are going to weaken and they are going to dissolve. They are going to be released. They are going to be seen as false, as self-fulfilling prophecy, as something that is optional now. Now, an important part of this investigation and exploration is that it is important to wake up more to witnessing and being the awareness that is witnessing and is observing. So that's why regular awareness practice helps very much. Because this regular meditation practice or self-inquiry along the lines of who am I? Who am I really? What is aware? This, they help us see and discover the real self, the real I. Yeah, when we say that I am not good enough, there is something wrong with me. I am unlovable. This I am unlovable. We say here that that's not the real identity, that's the false identity. But this will become easier to verify if we discover the true identity. And the true identity is much more like, am I the thoughts? Am I the story, the memories? Am I the memory where I see myself as a body? Or am I that which is aware of this memory? Am I this thought and feeling that says, I can't love, I can't trust myself, I can't trust my love, or there's something wrong with me? And this is perceived. I'm watching it. This is perceived. And there is this presence, which although invisible, it's very real. And this presence is hearing these words right now and seeing this image, feeling sensations in the body. So this presence is that which is aware of the deficiency identity. So this presence is aware of the ego identity, the sense of separate identity. And if we turn around. It's like, what is this presence? Is this presence unlovable? Is this awake space? Is this rotten? Is this? No, that is a mystery. It's a whole area of going deep into what we are, which is important because then we have a big contrast between, wow, there is the aware presence, and then there's the story of me with the pain body of me. Yeah. So that is why I encourage this sense of encourage meditation. And I will make another video later about meditation, because it's a lot of information out there about meditation. There's a lot of truth imbued with certain things which can actually kill the spirit of meditation and go into some mechanical, boring practice, which actually can delay our awakening. But for now, continue with what we studied so far, meaning stay in touch with the inner body, sensations, feelings. There's contractions, look inside, mind them, see what it says, be awake to it, don't argue with them, and do some of these guided contemplations to discover your childhood imprints and bring them to our next meeting, or feel free to share anything here. I'll get to it. Yeah. It is possible to deprogram them. I have seen it over and over in myself and other people, that we no longer believe these things, and the pain connected to them goes away, and then the body is more clear, and then we are not burdened by these things, and we are really starting to be the tiger, the dragon, the cat that we are, you know, not harassed by this burden of the story of the wounded, deficient me that is also has somatic roots in the body that are painful, that we need then to escape and alleviate with activities and substances. It's possible. All right. Ciao.